You lie beneath the night sky, and the first thing you notice is your breath. It moves in, cool and steady, and it moves out again, softer this time. The air feels gentle on your skin, like the world remembering how to touch you carefully. Above you, the darkness is not empty. It waits. It listens. It breathes back. You rest here, supported by ground that has learned patience over very long ages. The distant hum of the world settles into the background, like a sound that has always been there and always will be. Somewhere far away, a city exhales. Somewhere closer, the earth holds its quiet. You are safe. You are still. You are exactly where you need to be. As your breathing slows, the sky begins to feel closer. Not heavier. Not pressing. Just nearer, as if it has leaned in to share the moment with you. Starlight drifts down in thin, careful lines, touching nothing loudly. You sense warmth in your chest and coolness in the air, and both are welcome. Nothing asks you to hurry. The universe, you realize, is not silent. It simply speaks softly. It speaks in pauses, in intervals, in things that arrive one at a time. Cosmic rays are part of this quiet conversation. They are not flashes or alarms. They are whispers. They arrive the way snow falls when no one is watching. You imagine them now as faint footprints forming in fresh cosmic snow. Each one appears gently, pressing into something soft and unseen, then resting there without expectation. These footprints do not announce themselves. They do not demand attention. They simply exist, and that is enough. You smile a little at the thought, because the universe, for all its mystery, seems to prefer subtlety. If it had a sense of humor, it would be the kind that waits until you are relaxed before revealing the joke. And even then, it would keep it small. Cosmic rays drift toward you from far beyond familiar places. They travel without urgency, guided by patience rather than speed. You do not picture them racing. You picture them floating, carried by currents you cannot feel, leaving those delicate marks in the cosmic snow as they pass through space. The sky breathes in. The sky breathes out. You follow along without effort. What reaches you tonight has been on its way for a very long time, but it does not feel old. It feels calm. It feels steady. These travelers do not carry drama. They carry history, folded neatly, like a letter that has waited to be opened at the right moment. You are not required to understand everything about them. Understanding is not the goal here. Presence is. Awareness is. The simple act of noticing that something is arriving, softly, continuously, without interruption. Your breath deepens again. In. Out. You sense that space is not a void but a kind of atmosphere, layered and alive. It has texture. It has motion. It has weather. Tonight, that weather is gentle snowfall, invisible but persistent, leaving faint footprints that tell quiet stories. The idea feels comforting. You are not beneath an empty sky. You are beneath a sky that participates. It exchanges. It responds. It breathes back when you breathe in. Somewhere far above, another footprint forms. Another whisper arrives. You do not need to look up sharply or strain your eyes. This is not a spectacle. This is background kindness, unfolding continuously. You let your shoulders soften. You let the muscles in your face release. Even your thoughts slow, stretching out like long shadows at dusk. The universe seems pleased with this pace. It has always preferred slow. If you listen closely, you can almost sense the rhythm of arrival. Not a beat, not a count, but a feeling, like knowing when a wave will reach your feet without watching the water. Cosmic rays arrive this way. Patient. Unannounced. On time in their own language. You think again of footprints in fresh snow. Some are clear. Some are barely there. All of them mean that something passed through. Something touched this place briefly and moved on. That thought brings reassurance. Touch does not have to be permanent to matter. The sky above you continues its quiet breathing. In. Out. You match it without trying. There is no difference now between your rhythm and the rhythm of the night. You are part of the same motion, the same gentle exchange. You stay with the feeling a little longer, because there is no reason to rush away from something this gentle. The night seems to agree. It stretches itself comfortably, like a cat that has found a warm place to rest. Even the stars appear relaxed, holding their positions without tension or insistence. You notice how easy it is to be curious when nothing feels urgent. Curiosity becomes a soft glow instead of a sharp light. It warms without blinding. It invites rather than pulls. This is how the universe prefers to be explored. Another breath moves through you, smooth and unforced. The air carries a faint coolness that keeps you present, awake enough to notice, sleepy enough to let go. Somewhere in the distance, something hums, but it never interrupts. It simply exists, like the cosmic snowfall above. As the sky continues its slow exchange with you, you sense that the footprints will lead somewhere interesting. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. Just step by step, mark by mark, guiding attention gently downward, toward impressions waiting. And as you inhale once more, your awareness drifts with that falling motion, ready to follow the footprints as they gather quietly in the dark. You remain where you are, still breathing slowly, still held by the night that has already welcomed you. Nothing has changed sharply. The sky has not shifted suddenly. It simply continues. That steadiness feels reassuring, like a promise the universe is good at keeping. Your breath moves in. Cool. Clean. Your breath moves out. Soft. Easy. Above you, something continues to fall. Not quickly. Not loudly. It falls the way snow does when the world is asleep. You imagine the darkness as a wide, open field, untouched and quiet. Into that field, faint footprints appear. One at a time. Each one presses gently into something soft you cannot see, then rests there, patient and complete. These are not the footprints of running. They are the footprints of arrival. Cosmic rays come this way. Not as storms. Not as bursts. They do not rush toward their destination as if late. They drift, carried by paths that curve and wander, arriving only when they arrive. You find this comforting. The universe does not seem interested in being early. You notice how natural it feels to think of them as travelers. Not invaders. not messengers with urgent news. Just visitors passing through, leaving a sign that says, quietly, something was here. You smile faintly again, because even on a cosmic scale, nothing appears to slam the door. The footprints continue to form. Some are a little deeper. Some are barely there at all. You imagine kneeling closer, careful not to disturb the snow, studying the impressions with curiosity that feels warm rather than sharp. This is not investigation. It is attention. Cosmic rays, you sense, are ancient. Not old in a dusty way, but old in the way mountains are old. Steady. Enduring. They have been traveling longer than memory, longer than stories, longer than questions. And yet they arrive gently, as if trying not to wake anyone. That thought feels kind. Your shoulders sink further into rest. The ground beneath you remains firm, reliable, unbothered by what passes overhead. The sky above continues its slow exchange, breathing in and breathing out, as if it too was watching the snowfall. In. Out. You consider how little effort it takes to be here. You are not chasing anything. You are not reaching upward with grasping hands. You are simply allowing the footprints to come to you. Science, in this moment, feels less like searching and more like listening. Another footprint forms. Then another. Each one lands silently, like a sentence written in a language made of pauses. You do not need to read it fully. You only need to notice that it exists. That something touched this place and moved on. Somewhere in the back of your mind, a gentle amusement surfaces. For something so mysterious, the universe seems almost shy. It leaves clues, but never underlines them. It prefers suggestion over explanation. You imagine it shrugging, casually, as if to say, you can look if you like. The snowfall continues. Cosmic rays do not arrive in crowds. They do not gather for dramatic entrances. They come alone, spaced apart, respectful of distance. You appreciate this. Even the universe seems to value personal space. Your breathing finds a steady rhythm again, syncing with the imagined descent. In. Out. As you keep watching, you begin to notice something subtle. Some footprints are familiar in their shape, steady and expected. Others look slightly different. Lighter, perhaps. Or angled in a way that feels unusual, though not alarming. Just curious. You do not react quickly. There is no need. Curiosity here moves slowly, like someone turning a smooth stone in their hand. You allow the question to exist without trying to answer it. Why would some footprints feel different? The thought drifts through you and settles, like snow on a branch. It does not weigh anything down. It simply rests. You imagine how these travelers have passed through layers of space, guided gently by invisible influences. They have been nudged, redirected, slowed, never hurried. Along the way, they have picked up stories, subtle changes, tiny differences that now show themselves in the snow. This feels intimate in a strange way. You are witnessing the end of very long journeys, not with fanfare, but with quiet arrival. It reminds you that even the longest paths end softly. Your body remains calm. Your jaw unclenches. Your eyes feel heavy but content. There is nothing to solve before sleep. There is only noticing. Another footprint appears, then fades slightly at the edges, as if already beginning to blur. You understand now that these marks do not last forever. They are brief by nature. The universe does not archive everything. It trusts observers to be present when it matters. You like that idea? It takes pressure away. Cosmic rays arrive, leave a trace, and continue on. They are not concerned with being remembered. They simply pass through, adding to the quiet texture of the night. Your breath slows further. In. Out. The snowfall feels endless, but not overwhelming. It is a background process, a gentle continuation, like the slow ticking of a clock you no longer need to check. Each footprint adds to a pattern that is not meant to be seen all at once. You sense that this is important. Patterns here are not loud. They reveal themselves only when you stop trying to force them into view. The universe rewards stillness with subtlety. Somewhere between breaths, a comforting thought settles in. Nothing here arrives abruptly. Nothing crashes into being. Everything comes when it is ready, including understanding. The night sky remains open, breathing back toward you. The footprints continue to fall, forming a quiet path downward. You feel invited, not compelled, to follow where they lead. As your breath slows even more, you lean closer in your imagination, bending gently toward the marks in the snow, ready to notice what makes them different, ready to listen instead of look. And as the snowfall continues, your attention drifts with it, easing forward into the next quiet idea, carried on the same slow, patient descent. You remain close to the faint footprints, breathing slowly, letting your attention hover without pressing. The night has not changed its tone. It is still kind. It is still patient. The snow of space continues to hold impressions without asking you to hurry. Your breath moves in, smooth and cool. Your breath moves out, warm and steady. As you linger, a new idea drifts into awareness, not abruptly, but like a reflection forming on still water. Matter. And something like its shadow. Antimatter arrives not as a threat, not as an alarm, but as a quiet counterpart, standing calmly beside what you already know. You imagine two footprints side by side in the cosmic snow. One left by matter. One by its mirror. They look almost the same at first glance. Similar depth. Similar shape. Yet something about them feels gently different, like left and right hands resting on the same surface. This difference does not create tension in you. It creates balance. Antimatter, you sense, is not the enemy of matter. It is not a villain hiding in the dark. It is a reflection that exists because symmetry exists. The universe, it seems, enjoys pairing things, even when one side is quieter than the other. You let this idea settle without trying to tighten it into a definition. Sleep does not need definitions. It prefers impressions. Your breathing remains slow. In. Out. You think of mirrors, the kind that do not distort, only return what they are given. Matter steps forward, and antimatter steps forward too, matching the movement with calm precision. There is no argument between them. No raised voices. Just a quiet agreement that both belong. Somewhere, a small smile touches your face again. For something that sounds dramatic by name alone, antimatter feels surprisingly polite. You imagine the early universe, not as chaos, but as a wide, open snowfall where both kinds of footprints appeared together. Left. Right. Left. Right. Balanced steps across a soft surface. The pattern feels soothing, like walking without rushing, without destination, simply enjoying the motion. The footprints you noticed earlier begin to make more sense now. Some felt familiar. Some felt lighter, stranger. Not wrong. Just different in a way that asked for patience. Antimatter leaves footprints too, you realize. They are subtle. Brief. Often fading almost as soon as they appear. But they are real, and they belong to the same quiet story. Your body remains relaxed as this understanding unfolds. No alarm sounds. No sharp edges appear. The idea settles like snow on your shoulders, light enough not to weigh you down. You think again about shadows. A shadow does not oppose the object that casts it. It follows. It mirrors. It changes shape as the light changes. Antimatter feels like this kind of shadow, existing because matter exists, shaped by the same rules, answering with calm consistency. The night air brushes your skin gently, reminding you that you are still here, still supported. The ground beneath you does not shift. The sky above continues its slow breathing. In. Out. There is something deeply reassuring about the idea that difference does not mean danger. The universe, at its core, seems comfortable with contrast. Light and dark. In and out. Matter and its quiet reflection. You let the thought repeat softly, like a lullaby with only one line. Difference does not mean danger. Difference does not mean danger. Each repetition feels lighter. Cosmic rays continue to arrive in the background of your awareness, their footprints forming and fading. Some carry the signature of matter. Some hint at its shadow. Together, they create a texture rather than a conflict. You sense that antimatter is rare not because it is unwelcome, but because it is fleeting. It does not linger. It passes through quickly, like a footprint that melts before the sun rises. Its absence feels less like loss and more like a natural part of the pattern. That idea relaxes you further. Your breath slows even more, matching the pace of thought itself as it drifts towards sleep. The universe does not ask you to stay alert. It invites you to rest while understanding arrives gently, on its own schedule. You imagine standing between the two sets of footprints, left and right, feeling no pull toward either side. Balance exists here. Quietly. Naturally. Without effort. The universe, you realize, is not a place of constant struggle. Much of it is negotiation, adjustment, reflection. Antimatter participates in this dance without demanding attention. Another small wave of amusement passes through you. For something often described with such seriousness, antimatter seems content to keep a low profile. It appears, leaves a faint mark, and moves on, as if satisfied with simply having been. You feel safe with this idea. Safe enough to let it remain slightly unanswered. Questions here do not need to be solved. They need to be held gently, like warm stones in your hands. Your breathing remains steady. In. Out. The footprints in the cosmic snow continue to fade and reform, matter and shadow appearing together, then disappearing into the larger quiet. Nothing insists on permanence. Everything participates briefly, then yields. As your attention drifts, you sense another realization forming, still distant, still soft. Antimatter does not linger. Its footprints melt quickly, leaving only hints that it was ever there at all. The thought opens like a doorway. And as you exhale, letting the idea float without urgency, your awareness follows the soft edges of those fading prints, ready to notice what disappears almost as soon as it arrives. You stay with the feeling that has just opened, letting it remain wide and gentle. Nothing snaps into focus. Nothing demands clarity. The night keeps its soft tone, and your body responds by settling even deeper into stillness. Your breath moves in. Cool. Your breath moves out. Slow. The footprints you have been following are still there, but now you see something new. Some of them do not hold their shape. Their edges blur. Their depth softens. It is not sudden. It happens quietly, like snow warming from beneath. You imagine kneeling beside one of these marks, watching it fade while you breathe. Not disappearing dramatically. Just easing back into the surface, returning what it borrowed. The snow smooths itself, patient and complete. This is how antimatter behaves. It does not linger. It does not settle in and make itself comfortable. It arrives, leaves a suggestion of its presence, and then slips away again, as if it never intended to stay. You feel no sadness watching this happen. Only acceptance. Some things are meant to pass through. Your shoulders remain relaxed as this idea unfolds. There is no loss here. Only motion. Antimatter feels like a guest who removes their shoes, steps lightly, and leaves before morning without waking anyone. You smile softly at the thought. Even the universe seems to understand good manners. Cosmic snow continues to fall around you, though you never feel cold. Each arrival leaves a mark, but not every mark is meant to last. Some footprints exist only long enough to be noticed, and noticing is enough. Your breath deepens again. In. Out. You begin to understand that detection, here, is not about grabbing or holding. It is about waiting. About being present long enough for something brief to reveal itself. Scientists, you sense, must learn this same patience. They do not chase antimatter. They wait where it might pass. That waiting feels familiar to you now. You are already doing it. The night air brushes your skin gently, a reminder that warmth and coolness can coexist. The snow in your imagination melts not from heat, but from balance. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is failing. This is simply the way things are. You watch another footprint soften. Then another. Each one fades with dignity, leaving behind no sharp absence, only smooth continuity. The surface returns to calm. There is something deeply comforting about this process. It suggests that the universe is not cluttered with leftovers. It cleans up after itself. It allows things to be temporary. Your thoughts slow further, matching the pace of melting. Even curiosity relaxes its grip, becoming more like a companion than a guide. You are not searching anymore. You are witnessing. Antimatter, you realize, teaches a quiet lesson. Presence does not require permanence. Impact does not require duration. Something can matter even if it does not stay. You let that idea repeat softly, like a phrase whispered just before sleep. Presence does not require permanence. Presence does not require permanence. Each repetition feels lighter. The cosmic snowfall continues, though you no longer try to track every footprint. You trust that what needs to be seen will be seen. What fades will fade. The universe seems comfortable with this arrangement. Your breathing remains slow and even. In. Out. You imagine instruments waiting somewhere, still and attentive, allowing these brief visitors to pass through. They do not rush to catch them. They do not panic when the traces vanish. They understand that disappearance is part of the signal. That thought settles warmly in your chest. Even absence can speak. Another footprint appears, delicate and bright for a moment, then softens at the edges. You do not feel disappointed. You feel calm. The moment was complete. You realize now that this melting is not a failure of observation. It is a feature of reality. Antimatter does not cling. It does not accumulate. It moves on, leaving behind only the faintest suggestion that balance once existed there. The night sky continues its slow breathing above you. In. Out. You follow along without effort, carried by the same rhythm. You feel safe inside this understanding. Safe enough to let go of the need to hold anything still. The universe does not freeze moments. It lets them flow. As your attention softens further, you notice that even the idea of melting has a sound. A quiet hush. A gentle release. It blends perfectly with the distant hum of the night, with your own steady breath. Some traces, you sense, may linger just long enough to be noticed more closely. Just long enough to leave a question behind. The snow does not always smooth itself immediately. That possibility feels inviting, not urgent. And as you continue to breathe, letting attention sharpen gently without tension, your awareness drifts toward those rare moments when something almost disappears but not quite. You do not move closer now. You do not lean forward or narrow your focus. Instead, something in you relaxes back, as if you have finally found a comfortable position after a long day. The night seems to approve of this choice. It softens around you, lowering its voice even further. Your breath moves in. Slow. Your breath moves out. Unforced. The footprints in the cosmic snow are still forming and fading, but you are no longer studying them with your eyes. You are listening for them instead. Listening not with ears, exactly, but with attention that has learned how to wait. This feels new, and also familiar, like remembering a skill you learned a long time ago. You sense that the universe does not respond well to chasing. It prefers invitation. When you stop trying to catch what passes through, more seems willing to pass through you. Cosmic rays arrive this way, not because anyone demands they do, but because space itself is open to receiving them. Listening, you realize, is an act of trust. You imagine instruments somewhere far away, standing quietly beneath the same cosmic snowfall. They do not scan frantically. They do not shout questions into the dark. They simply remain still, allowing faint impressions to arrive when they will. The idea makes you smile again, just slightly. For all its advanced tools, science sometimes looks a lot like patience. Your body mirrors the stillness. Your shoulders remain loose. Your hands feel warm and heavy. Even your thoughts stop pacing and begin to sit down, one by one, finding places to rest. In. Out. The universe seems to respond to this shift. Not by becoming louder, but by becoming clearer. When you listen instead of look, subtle differences stand out naturally. Some arrivals feel familiar. Others feel slightly off, like a note played just beside the expected tone. You do not judge this difference. You welcome it. Cosmic rays speak in quiet signals, not declarations. They leave information the way snow leaves texture. You can feel it under awareness without ever seeing a sharp outline. Listening becomes a way of touching without disturbing. You notice how comfortable this makes you feel. There is no pressure to identify or label. No demand to be right. You are simply present for what arrives. Another breath passes through you, deeper now. In. Out. You sense that listening requires space, and space is something the universe has in abundance. It stretches between stars, between moments, between questions and answers. Tonight, you allow some of that space inside yourself. The cosmic snowfall continues, steady and patient. You no longer track individual footprints. You let patterns emerge on their own. Listening means trusting that meaning will surface without force. There is a small, gentle humor in this. Humans build powerful tools to listen to the universe, and the universe responds by whispering. Quietly. Consistently. As if amused by the effort. You imagine it smiling, if such a thing were possible. Some signals carry a tone that feels unfamiliar. Not alarming. Just different enough to pause over. They sound like echoes that have taken a longer path, arriving slightly altered by the journey. You do not lean in sharply when this happens. You stay relaxed. You let curiosity remain soft, like a lamp turned low. Listening, you realize, is not passive. It is active stillness. It is choosing not to interrupt. Your breath continues to guide you. In. Out. The night air feels smooth against your skin, and the distant hum blends seamlessly with the imagined snowfall. Everything participates in the same quiet rhythm. Nothing insists on attention. Nothing pulls you away from rest. You sense that by listening, you are allowing the universe to speak in its own timing. It does not rush explanations. It offers impressions first, trusting that understanding can grow later, slowly, like snow accumulating without being noticed. This feels deeply reassuring. You realize that unfamiliar signals are not warnings. They are invitations to notice more carefully. To stay present a little longer. To let the night keep unfolding. Your breathing slows further, becoming almost automatic. Thought and breath move together now, neither leading nor following. In. Out. You feel a calm confidence settle in. You do not need to search harder. Awareness is already enough. The universe is generous with clues when you give it room to be subtle. The footprints continue to appear and fade somewhere beyond direct perception. You trust that listening will reveal what matters. You do not need to see everything at once. Some signals, you sense, curve gently as they arrive, shaped by invisible influences along the way. Their paths are not straight. Their stories are not simple. And that is perfectly fine. As you remain still, listening without strain, the idea of motion begins to soften. Arrival feels less like a destination and more like a gesture. The night sky breathes in. The night sky breathes out. You follow along, suspended comfortably between breaths, between thoughts, between knowing and wondering. The unfamiliar tones linger just long enough to be noticed, then drift onward. And as you continue listening, your awareness begins to trace the gentle curves hidden inside those signals, following them the way breath follows thought. You continue listening, and in that listening something begins to move. Not quickly, not sharply, just enough to be felt. The night remains calm, but now there is a sense of motion within the stillness, like a thought that has decided to wander instead of arrive. Your breath moves in. Easy. Your breath moves out. Long. The unfamiliar signals you noticed before do not travel in straight lines. You can feel that now. They curve gently, bending as if guided by something kind and unseen. Their paths remind you of how your own thoughts behave when you were close to sleep, looping softly, turning without reason, never insisting on a conclusion. Cosmic rays move like this too. You imagine their trails written across space, not as arrows, but as handwriting. Slow arcs. Careful bends. Lines that hesitate slightly, then continue, as if listening to the space around them before choosing the next direction. Nothing here forces them forward. This feels deeply familiar. Your body relaxes even more as you picture it. Shoulders loose. Jaws soft. Even the space behind your eyes seems to widen, making room for these gentle curves. Straight lines belong to urgency. Curves belong to patience. In. Out. Invisible fields shape these paths, though you do not picture them as barriers. They feel more like suggestions. A soft hand at the small of the back, guiding without pushing. Cosmic rays respond the way breath responds to calm naturally, without resistance. You notice how comforting this is. Nothing crashes through space. Nothing cuts a sharp path. Everything bends, adjusts, negotiates. The universe, it seems, prefers cooperation over force. You smile faintly again, because even on the largest scales imaginable, nothing appears to be in a hurry. The trails continue to curve, and you follow them in your mind without effort. There is no destination to reach, no endpoint to predict. The motion itself is the experience. Like watching smoke rise, or leaves drifting in water, or thoughts dissolving as sleep approaches. Your breath slows further. In. Out. You realize that these curved paths carry information, not as messages, but as gestures. The way a trail bends hints at where it has been and what it has passed through. It is a quiet record of influence rather than intention. This idea settles gently in you. Influence matters more than direction. The cosmic snowfall is still happening, though now it feels layered with movement. Footprints form, melt, and curve away, connected by invisible arcs that only reveal themselves when you stop trying to see them all at once. You let yourself drift with this realization. You do not hold on tightly. You allow understanding to come in waves, rising and falling with your breath. In. Out. There is something almost playful about these curves. They refuse to be predictable. They wander. They loop. They occasionally turn back on themselves slightly, like a thought that revisits a memory before letting it go. You appreciate this gentleness. It removes pressure. If the universe does not require straight lines, neither do you. The night air remains cool and steady against your skin. Somewhere far away, something hums, constant and low, blending perfectly with the imagined motion above. Everything feels synchronized without effort. Cosmic rays continue their slow, patient journeys, bending through space as if responding to a music you cannot hear but somehow recognize. Their trails overlap, weave, and separate again, never tangled, never rushed. You sense that some of these curves hint at origins far beyond your sky. They suggest long paths, distant beginnings, gentle influences layered over time. But this does not overwhelm you. Distance here feels soft, not vast. Your breathing becomes almost weightless now. In. Out. You imagine tracing one curved trail backward with your finger, not to find where it started, but to feel how it moved. The path itself becomes a story, written in motion rather than words. You like stories like this. They do not demand attention. They invite presence. Another small wave of gentle humor passes through you. If thoughts behave this well during the day, you think, sleep would probably arrive much earlier. The universe seems to have mastered drifting. The curves continue. Always gentle. Always responsive. Never abrupt. You notice that as you follow them, your own thoughts begin to curve too. Sharp edges soften. Straight worries loosen into arcs. Nothing needs to be resolved before rest. In. Out. The idea of a straight path feels unnecessary now. Direction is overrated. Flow is enough. The universe does not march. It meanders, and somehow still arrives everywhere it needs to be. This realization settles warmly in your chest. As the trails continue to bend and wander, you sense that they will eventually brush against something else, a surface, a detector, a place where motion becomes touch. The curves feel like fingertips reaching out, gentle and deliberate. You do not follow them quickly. You let them lead at their own pace. Your breath remains steady, carrying you along these arcs of thought and motion. The night sky breathes with you, matching the rhythm without effort. And as the curved trails drift onward, easing toward places where they will leave the softest impressions, your awareness follows them naturally, ready to notice where the galaxy itself reaches out. You follow the last of the gentle curves as they begin to slow. The motion does not stop abruptly. It eases, like a hand lowering onto a cool surface, like breath settling at the bottom of an exhale. Your breath moves in, calm. Your breath moves out, long. The trails that once wandered now seem to pause, just enough to touch something. You imagine the galaxy reaching out, not with force, but with fingertips brushing frost. The contact is light, almost polite. Nothing presses hard enough to leave damage. Only impressions. These are the galaxy's fingerprints. They are not stamped. They are not carved. They appear briefly, softly, the way warmth leaves a trace on cold glass. You can sense them more than you can see them. Texture instead of outline. Feeling instead of definition. You remain still as this idea settles. Your body understands this kind of touch. It recognizes gentleness. The night air continues to rest against your skin, steady and reassuring. In. Out. The fingerprints form where motion meets listening. Where drifting trails finally brush against something willing to notice. Instruments, surfaces, quiet places prepared not to interrupt. The galaxy does not announce itself when it touches down. It simply arrives. You imagine these moments of contact as brief pauses in a long journey. The cosmic rays slow just enough to say, "I was here," then continue on. They do not linger. They do not demand acknowledgement. They trust that the impression is enough. This trust feels calming. You picture frost on a window in early morning, the way a fingertip leaves a temporary mark before the cold smooths it away again. The galaxy behaves the same way. It leaves marks that fade, patterns that soften, traces that require patience to notice. Your breath stays slow. In. Out. You begin to understand that these fingerprints are not answers. They are hints. Textures. Subtle variations that suggest direction without explaining it. Science here feels less like solving and more like feeling your way along a surface in the dark. You do not mind the darkness. It feels friendly now. Some fingerprints feel familiar. They carry the quiet weight of matter you recognize, steady and expected. Others feel different under awareness. Slightly lighter. Slightly strange. Not wrong. Just unfamiliar, like touching a surface with a different grain. You pause with that sensation, letting curiosity remain gentle. No alarm rises in you. Only interest. The universe seems to be showing you that not every touch belongs to the same hand. Your shoulders remain relaxed as this realization drifts through you. Difference here does not signal danger. It signals diversity. Variation. The galaxy has more than one way of reaching out. In. Out. You imagine the instruments again, waiting quietly, allowing these fingerprints to form and fade. They do not grip. They do not trap. They simply feel what passes through. This kind of patience feels almost tender. The galaxy responds well to tenderness. You sense that patterns emerge only over time. One fingerprint alone says very little. But many, noticed gently, begin to suggest shapes. Not clear pictures. More like impressions left on soft clay, hinting at the motion that made them. You let your thoughts curve around this idea without tightening. Patterns do not rush. They reveal themselves only when you stop demanding clarity. Your breathing remains steady, grounding you in the present moment. The distant hum continues, low and constant, blending with the imagined hush of cosmic contact. There is a quiet intimacy in this exchange. The galaxy touches, and something listens. No words are exchanged. No explanations are required. You feel safe inside this stillness. Another faint fingerprint forms, then softens. You notice how even the unfamiliar ones feel careful. They do not intrude. They pass through respectfully, leaving just enough behind to be felt. You smile again, small and easy. The universe, it seems, has very good manners. In. Out. As you rest with these impressions, you sense that some fingerprints do not match the familiar patterns. They hint at origins that feel distant in a different way. Not farther in space, but farther in story. Older. Quieter. Almost like memories resurfacing briefly. This thought does not disturb you. It soothes you. The universe remembers itself softly. You let that idea drift, unforced, as the galaxy continues its gentle reaching. Touch becomes impression. Impression becomes texture. Texture becomes calm understanding. Your breath slows just a little more. And as the fingerprints fade back into the smooth surface of space, you remain resting in their afterimage, aware that some touches are not meant to be explained, only remembered briefly, as your attention drifts onward toward the next quiet thought. You remain where the last fingerprints faded, letting their afterimage rest gently in your awareness. The night has grown even quieter now, as if it knows you are ready for something softer still. Nothing new rushes in. Instead, something old drifts closer. Your breath moves in. Warm. Your breath moves out. Unhurried. The unfamiliar fingerprints you notice do not feel sharp anymore. They feel distant, like memories that surface without emotion attached. Antimatter begins to take on a new quality in your mind. Less like a stranger. More like something the universe once knew very well. You imagine memory the way snow remembers footsteps long after they have softened. Not clearly. Not completely. Just enough to suggest that something once passed this way. Antimatter feels like that. It does not arrive as a threat. It does not announce conflict. It arrives the way an old melody does when you are nearly asleep, familiar but hard to place. You recognize the feeling even if the details have faded. The universe, you sense, remembers its earlier balance quietly. In those early moments, long before anything needed names, matter and antimatter moved together. Left step. Right step. Matching impressions in fresh cosmic snow. Nothing competed. Nothing dominated. Balance was simply the way things were. You do not picture chaos. You picture calm. Your body responds to this image by relaxing further. There is no tension in remembering. Memory here feels safe, like revisiting a place that no longer exists but left no harm behind. Your breathing remains slow. In. Out. Antimatter now feels like an echo rather than a presence. It appears briefly, leaves a faint impression, and dissolves again. Not because it is unwanted, but because the universe has moved on, gently, without erasing where it came from. You like this idea. It suggests continuity rather than loss. The cosmic snowfall continues around you, though thinner now, quieter. Each arrival feels like a reminder rather than a message. The universe does not repeat itself loudly. It prefers whispers. You sense that antimatter lingers only as long as memory allows. It does not insist on staying current. It accepts its role as a reminder of how things once balanced perfectly. That acceptance feels deeply peaceful. Your shoulders remain loose. Your jaw stays soft. Even your thoughts seem to rest instead of wander. You are not searching for explanations anymore. You are listening to echoes. In. Out. You notice how different this feels from fear. Fear is loud. Fear is sharp. This is none of those things. This is gentle recognition. The universe showing you a photograph that has faded slightly at the edges. You imagine antimatter as a memory the universe occasionally replays, not because it needs to, but because memory exists. Traces remain. Footprints soften, but the snow remembers enough to be shaped. There is something comforting in knowing that nothing is truly erased. It is only transformed into quieter forms. Another small smile appears, unforced. For something often portrayed dramatically, antimatter feels almost nostalgic. It visits briefly, nods politely, and leaves you with a sense of continuity rather than alarm. Your breath deepens. In. Out. The idea settles warmly in your chest. Nothing here wants to harm. Nothing arrives with sharp intent. Everything participates in a long, patient remembering. You realize that memory itself leaves traces. Not physical ones, but impressions that shape what comes next. The universe remembers balance, even if it no longer holds it in the same way. That realization soothes you. You rest with the thought that antimatter is not missing. It is remembered. And memory, like snow, changes shape as time passes. It softens. It blends back into the surface, leaving behind only the suggestion of what once was. Your breathing finds an even rhythm now, steady and automatic. The night sky continues its slow breathing above you, matching your pace without effort. In. Out. As you stay with this calm understanding, another idea begins to form gently in the background. If these are memories, then perhaps the footprints do not only lead through space, but through time as well. The thought does not pull you forward. It simply opens a door. And as you inhale again, letting time feel loose and kind, your awareness begins to drift backward along those softened footprints, ready to follow them not to a place, but to an earlier moment. You remain where the memories of antimatter linger, breathing slowly, letting each impression settle before the next arrives. The night has deepened around you, calm and spacious. You feel the softness of time stretching outward, inviting you to follow without haste. Your breath moves in, cool and calm. Your breath moves out, slow and steady. You begin to imagine stepping backward along the footprints left across the cosmic snow. Not physically, not hurriedly, but gently, with attention and presence. Each step feels soft, careful, deliberate. You follow the marks, tracing not only where they landed but when they first appeared, long before your awareness could reach them. The universe seems quieter here. Simpler. Older in the way a deep sigh feels older than the sound itself. Antimatter is not strange or fleeting. It is familiar, frequent, woven into the fabric of motion and memory in a way that feels natural. You feel comforted by this. In this backward drift, there is no pressure to solve or explain. There is only noticing, following, being present as time loosens its grip. In. Out. The footprints themselves seem to whisper as you pass. Each one carries a hint of history, a faint echo of the journey it took before arriving at your place in space. Some curves are gentle. Some trails loop, but none collide. They coexist gracefully, layered over the past like soft ripples in a still pond. You pause, letting one mark linger in attention. It does not demand recognition. It simply exists. Its presence is enough. And in that quiet, you feel a gentle intimacy with the cosmos, as though time itself is smiling softly at your awareness. You imagine following another footprint backward, each step feeling like a return to earlier moments in the universe. Not events. Not catastrophes. But moments of gentle balance. Moments when matter and antimatter move together without urgency. Left. Right. Left. Right. A soft, steady rhythm stretching across the ages. Your shoulders loosen further. Your breath deepens. In. Out. As you drift along these backward paths, the air around you feels warm and steady, the faint hum of the cosmos a companion to your wandering attention. Time softens under your observation. It no longer feels linear, no longer feels strict. It bends as naturally as the trails you follow. You notice that the footprints you are tracing backward do not lead to a single origin. They meander, they branch, they overlap. Yet this does not disturb you. The complexity feels like a kind of conversation, subtle, patient, unforced. The universe speaks softly, and you are listening. In. Out. The older paths show you that antimatter once existed more frequently, more naturally. It was not rare in this memory, not because it has disappeared, but because you are witnessing a simpler, quieter era. Its presence was part of the rhythm, part of the balance, moving gently alongside matter, unremarkable and ordinary in its role. That ordinariness feels reassuring. There is no drama here. No urgency. Only steady participation in the ongoing calm of existence. Your body remains completely relaxed, perfectly aligned with this backward motion. Even thought slows, unpressured by the need to understand everything immediately. You follow the traces without judgment, letting each step drift naturally into the next. The cosmic snowfall, imagined or remembered, continues to layer softly. You notice footprints fading slightly even as they reappear in this backward journey, traces from distant moments blending into the present awareness. Some steps are faint. Some are pronounced. None demand attention. All coexist, contributing to the quiet tapestry of understanding. Your breath synchronizes with this motion. In. Out. You sense that this backward journey does not have a final destination. There is no ending. The footprints do not lead to an endpoint, only to further questions, softer impressions, echoes of long-past rhythms. The trail does not finish, it only softens, suggesting continuity rather than closure. A small smile forms. The universe, in all its expansiveness, does not need to be pinned down. It allows presence to be enough. Watching, noticing, existing alongside movement and memory, this is enough. You feel a wave of warmth settle inside, a reassurance that observation, even passive and backward, is still participation. Even as you drift further through time, you are held by the rhythm of the cosmos, the cadence of footsteps across the invisible snow. In. Out. And as you continue tracing the fading paths backward, letting each footprint guide you gently through quiet eras, your awareness begins to drift toward the spaces in between, the absences that are themselves a kind of presence, leading naturally into the next chapter, where not all truths speak aloud. You continue drifting backward along the cosmic footprints, your breath slow and steady. The night is wide and still, and in the quiet, something shifts. You begin to notice what is not there. Spaces where marks might have appeared, but did not. Gaps between arrivals. The pauses themselves carrying meaning. Your breath moves in. Soft. Your breath moves out. Smooth. The snow beneath your imagination is unbroken in places. Nothing rests upon it, no hint of passage, no trace of touch. And yet, these empty spaces feel significant. They hum with possibility, subtle in their quietness, like the silence between notes in a melody. Absence is part of the pattern. Absence is part of the rhythm. You do not try to fill the gaps. You do not panic at emptiness. You allow it to be. You allow noticing itself to be enough. In. Out. You sense that scientists, too, pay attention to these absences. They know that what does not arrive can tell as much as what does. Cosmic rays that fail to leave a mark, antimatter that vanishes almost instantly, these are the pauses in the conversation of the universe. Listening to them requires patience, and patience is your current companion. You feel the calm deepen as you follow this thought. There is a gentle pleasure in noticing the unspoken, the untouched, the quiet. The universe is whispering, not demanding, and you are listening without expectation. The footprints that appear are soft, fleeting. The gaps between them are also soft, quiet, meaningful. Together they form a texture rather than a story with beginning and end. You let yourself float within that texture. You are safe here. Held in a space where both presence and absence are allowed. Your shoulders relax. Your jaw softens. Your breath becomes almost weightless. In. Out. You imagine placing your hands gently on the snow, noticing both where it is pressed and where it remains untouched. Both surfaces have value. Both speak, though in different ways. The universe's messages are not always direct. Some exist only in subtle suggestion. Some only in the spaces left behind. You feel a small smile as this understanding settles. Not every footprint needs interpretation. Not every mark carries immediate clarity. Silence is not failure. It is information. Absence itself can guide you toward understanding, if you allow your awareness to rest there. The night air brushes lightly against your skin. It carries no urgency, no insistence. You are invited to breathe slowly, deeply, without needing to solve, without needing to chase. The hum of the cosmos continues softly, like a lullaby of waiting, listening, observing. In. Out. You notice that some gaps feel different from others. They are slightly warmer, slightly more receptive. Some absences feel like memory, others like possibility. You do not label them. You do not demand answers. You allow their difference to be, and in that allowance, you feel a quiet pleasure. Presence and absence coexisting in soft harmony. Your body matches this rhythm. Your thoughts do not push. They drift like wisps in the cool night air, merging gently with the imagined snowfall, moving between footprints, filling spaces with soft attention rather than expectation. You realize that this practice, listening to what is not there, is a skill of its own. It requires patience, calm, and trust. And you have both. You feel a wave of warmth settle in your chest. You are supported. You are seen in this quiet, gentle way. In. Out. Some footprints may still arrive. Some gaps may fill briefly, only to vanish again. The rhythm of presence and absence continues endlessly. You are part of it, not by interfering, but by noticing, by allowing, by breathing with the flow of space and time. And as you remain here, aware of what is and what is not, you sense a larger question beginning to form, not about tracks or traces, but about the calm of waiting itself. The universe, it seems, prefers whispering, and you are learning to hear. Your breath deepens, slower still. In. Out. And with each exhale, you drift gently, ready to rest inside the mystery itself, where presence and absence meet, leading seamlessly into the next chapter, resting inside the question, held in quiet cosmic snowfall. You remain in the quiet after noticing both presence and absence. The night has settled completely around you. There is no hurry. There is no demand. Only the soft rhythm of breath and thought, flowing together, uninterrupted. Your breath moves in. Warm. Your breath moves out. Slow and steady. The cosmic snow continues its gentle fall. Footprints appear and vanish, antimatter traces linger just long enough to suggest memory, and the gaps themselves hum with quiet potential. You no longer feel compelled to follow them. You no longer need to track each step. You simply rest with the flow, allowing awareness to drift like a leaf on a slow, calm stream. You notice that by not searching, you see more. By not forcing, you understand more. Presence itself becomes the answer, even if nothing is resolved. In. Out. Time seems to stretch, expansive and soft. You sense that the universe does not demand comprehension. It offers patterns, textures, echoes, and pauses, and in this offering, you find safety. You are held, not by certainty, but by the gentle embrace of being allowed to notice. The footprints from earlier chapters, both matter and antimatter, continue to fade. Some melt entirely. Others linger only as whispers of impression. They leave behind nothing heavy. Only the feeling of motion, memory, and quiet connection. You feel a gentle warmth inside your chest, a deep reassurance. You do not need to solve. You do not need to catch anything. The universe itself rests in patient rhythm, and you are invited to rest alongside it. In. Out. Your body softens further. Your shoulders release. Your hands relax. Your eyes, closed or open, no longer need to focus sharply. Awareness flows freely, as though carried on the soft currents of cosmic snow. Each exhale releases tension, each inhale fills you with gentle, steady calm. The traces of antimatter, the curving paths of cosmic rays, the galaxy's fingerprints, even the silent gaps, they are all part of a quiet conversation. It is not a conversation that needs to be solved, understood, or concluded. It is enough that you are here, listening, feeling, noticing. A small smile comes easily now. You feel the humor of the cosmos in its gentle persistence, even immense forces, invisible particles, and distant galaxies move with patience, with elegance, with quiet purpose. You, too, are part of this rhythm simply by being present. In. Out. The footprints continue to fade, softer and slower, blending into the cosmic snow. Memory and presence overlap, absence and silence intertwine. The universe is infinite, vast, and patient. And you, nestled within its quiet rhythm, are calm, held, and complete. You notice how natural it feels to rest here, inside the question itself. Not seeking answers, not demanding clarity, not pressing forward. Just resting, just breathing, just noticing the quiet miracles of motion, memory, and absence all around you. The snow continues. Footprints vanish. Curves drift silently. The galaxy's whispers pass gently over the surface. And you remain, soft and still, a participant in the gentle ebb and flow, fully present in the hush of cosmic calm. In. Out. And as the footprints fade completely, leaving only quiet snow beneath the vast sky, you rest fully inside the mystery, aware that you do not need conclusions to feel complete. The calm remains, carrying you gently, like a slow breath drifting upward into the infinite quiet of the universe.